Hello, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I'm trying to learn C++ completely from ChatGPT, and I'm working on an app that's completely failing. And I saw this interesting comment that said that when I use a vector instead of small pointer, since a vector is heap allocated container, it is technically a pointer. So that is basically saying that I did not do a small pointer for a vector this entire time. This person also recommend I don't use auto when passing arguments functions. Yeah, I think that was kind of my part because I was simply being lazy and just didn't notice that. So I'm gonna actually ask about that to ChatGPT. The main reason is because the whole reason I use smart pointers and vectors is because the assignment called for me using smart pointers and I decided to use them, but I wasn't completely sure like when to actually do so. So I'm gonna ask about this. And for something even more interesting, I'm gonna actually copy and paste this part and see how ChatGPT responds. So yeah, your comment just got into my ChatGPT chats. So wow, it's rewriting the entire code without the smart pointers. So yeah, I totally agree with that comment. Now, I'm not sure if ChatGPT is gullible. I honestly trust this commenter quite a bit because it's a change of just this ChatGPT that so far has not really showed the most reliability, honestly. Apparently it only replaced so much, so I'm gonna actually copy and paste the code and maybe this actually ended up fixing a lot of stuff. But let's see what happens. So it's called Coding University. Let's see, add a course. I mean, this part isn't working. There's a weird delay for some reason, but let's just continue for now. Let's call it Introduction to Computer Science. Let's get a random number. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, we do have an exception here. How do I find this? I'm not so good at using C++ debug. How can I look for this bug? What if I do in the terminal instead? It'll probably give me a huge error message. Or even if I do an online interpreter, because I'm just not good at using this IDE. Let's call it Programming University. Say add a course. And yeah, somehow the code already ended and it said successfully, and I don't think this was successful. Yeah, and then it just failed. God. I mean, it's time to just look more deeply into the code, honestly. Because I probably also have a billion logic errors added in my billion compilation errors. I think I really need to get into like when to use stdignore, because that might be some problem, and like how to use it with getLine, so I'm going to ask about that. When do I use stdsyn.ignore? And do I do it after stdgetline? So it recommends you use stdsyn after and before getLine, and after a syn in a loop. So if you're reading multiple lines of input in a loop, you may need to use ignore to clear the buffer before each getLine. So let's look at some examples. So if I use stdsyn, just discard it. And I don't understand the parameters itself, so I'm gonna ask about that. Do I have to put in to std? Oh my god, why is ChatGPT so laggy? So it's recommending I do something like std numeric limits max, something like that. It's also being a little weird because it told me to use it after getLine, but I don't see it using stdignore. You said that I had to use stdsyn.ignore after using stdgetline, but you don't seem to be doing so. Okay, and this time it's saying I do have to do it, and yeah. I'm gonna tell it to shut up for now and just try it out myself. So let's do this ignore thing. And yeah, I forgot to import something. which allows me to do this SD numeric limits. I don't know, let's just make an empty parameter for now. Maybe that'll work. I don't know, things are pretty iffy right now. So it's called Coding University. Let's see, I like to add a course. Yeah, for some reason there's still one thing in between. So I think that has to do something to do with an empty std ignore. I might actually have to resort to using the Googles because I don't feel like I'm getting any consistent answers. I'm like, it really makes me realize like how Java in the many ways was actually easier. Beginning, I thought like C++ was actually moving a lot faster, but like it is a lot more complicated, even though sometimes the syntax can be a little bit more intuitive than Java's. But yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. Hopefully you subscribe. Like always, bye bye.